Okay, so this is my story time for you guys. It's kind of personal. I am kind of nervous to do this, but I get asked a lot of questions about this, so I figured why not give you guys a full detailed scoop on my relationships with my parents and the relationships that I have with my siblings, and that way you guys can kind of get to know me a little bit more. Um, so I hope you guys enjoy this. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and I'll keep you tuned up. I'll be recording every Wednesday and Thursday. Those are my 2 days off for my job, so I'll be trying to like record during the week when I get off of work, so that way on Wednesday and Thursday I can just upload it and you guys can view it. And my channel is mainly gonna be a variety of vlogs of like me, what I do on a daily basis. It's also going to be, I'll have story times for you guys on memories and stuff like that I've done throughout my life, things I did in high school. And I'm also going to do kind of like a mixture of just like makeup tutorials, hair tutorials. But yeah, anything you guys would like to see or get to know about me or anything, you can either DM me if you have me on social media, or you can write in the comments below, and I'll be more than glad to make those videos for you. So thank you. Okay, so here's a little story time. To most of you guys who don't know me and don't know the living situation that I had with my mom and dad, my mom had me at a very young age. She had me at 15, and she had me, my brother, and my two brothers and my sister all by the time she was 21. My mom was a teen mom. She basically did everything on her own. My dad, of course, was there, but he wasn't, I guess, like the best. He wasn't really the best father to us. He did what he could to help support us and be there for us. I was like 13, I want to say, when my mom and dad finally had split up. So I was just becoming a teenager. It was kind of hard for me when they split up. I felt very neglected by my dad. I didn't feel like he loved me or my brothers and sisters anymore. Like, he just kind of like got up, he left, and but there was also a lot of other issues of why my parents split up. And overall, my dad was a very, very good person. He was a very good person. He had a very good heart, but he also had his own demons that he fought with every single day. And my dad was a drug user and an alcoholic. And when he would drink, he would become like this evil twin of him. And it was never really good to be around him when he was like that. My oldest brother was very attached to him. He was always by my dad's side, did not want to leave his side. Me, I wasn't so much of a daddy's girl. My younger sister was. She was more of a daddy's girl. And me and my oldest brother, we kind of saw all the stuff that my dad had did, from drinking and just not being there for us. So we kind of understood his lifestyle, and we kind of understood why we couldn't depend on him as much as we wanted to as kids. And when my parents had split up at 13, when I was 13 years old, they had been together for like almost 13 years. My mom was like 6 years younger than my dad. And when they had split up, my dad saw us maybe, I want to say, like between 4 to 5 times. After that, he kind of just left. From what I'm aware of, he moved back to Yuma, which is where his family's at, and I'm actually still really close with his family. My aunts, they always check up on me. They always ask how my daughters are doing. We always try to get together as much as we can, which includes like birthday parties, graduation parties, anything like that. He had, from what I've known, he went back to Yuma. He got into a few altercations there. And then the last thing I knew, when I had moved to Ohio after high school, he was in Mexico. He had lost his rights to come back to the U.S. And he had a lot of, I guess, charges, I want to say, on him from like when him and my mom were together and the things that he did after him and my mom split up. And I think I was about 19. I was 19. I had just turned 20, actually. And no, I was 18 turning 19, and that's when he had turned himself in. He walked across the border, turned himself in, and he had turned himself in for all the charges and all the things that he had on him. He did some jail time. He got on probation. He got cleaned up. He was getting in contact with me and my brothers and sisters, which, I mean, I didn't at that time. I was already an adult. I had already grew up without him. So to me and to my older brother, we really didn't care for having him around as much. I mean, we were glad that he got cleaned up and that he was trying to be part of our lives, but we were kind of like, you know what, you missed out on our whole teenage years, so it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of your loss, I guess you can say. So we accepted it. We talked to him. I would talk to him literally every single day. I worked graveyard at the time at Jack in the Box, and he would text me every single morning that I got off at 6. He would say, good morning, how are you doing, how was work? Like, he was very interactive with me. I want to say he was good for about almost a year. It was about, I had just turned 20, and he had said some very hurtful things to my brothers, and my oldest brother, he's people who know him know that he has a kind heart, but he's also very cold-hearted, and he can cut you off real quick and not feel any remorse for it unless he has a really deep love for you. And with my dad, after all the stuff that he kind of put us through as kids, he cut my dad off completely. He didn't want to have like anything to do with him. So when my dad had said those very mean and hurtful things to him, it kind of took me to heart, because it's like, you're the dad, you're supposed to try harder to get involved in our lives. It's not our fault that you left. It's not our fault that you chose not to get in contact with us. The relationship that we had with my mom was, she always had that open door policy. She never kept us from our dad. Even when he wasn't in a good state of mind, she always told us, you know, if you want to go contact your dad, if you want to see him, that is all on you. I will not stop you. If you need me to have one of your aunts get a hold of him, you know, we can do that and make those arrangements for you guys to see him. I didn't really care for wanting to see my dad. I was kind of very angry that he left us at such a young age, and we kind of had to find the ropes on how to be who we are. But my mom did one hell of a good job with us. She raised all four of us. All four of us graduated from high school. None of us became teen moms like her or teen dads. All of us are living on our own, doing good. And so she did one hell of a good job being a single mom. Yeah, of course, she did have help from her family, but she did one hell of a good job with all four of us. And that is one thing that I'm so thankful for her. And I guess that's why I'm so attached to her. And so when I was about like 20, I want to say, I had just turned 20. I was in beauty school, and I hadn't talked to my dad in over like a month, after I had sent a very mean message to him after he went off on my brothers. And I didn't hear from him for about a month, and I had told my boyfriend, I said, you know what, I haven't heard from my dad. And he goes, well, why don't you text him? I think like 2 days later, I was actually at school, and my mom calls me and tells me that my dad had been killed. That really broke me, because I hadn't seen my dad since I was 13. My first time seeing him was at his funeral. So that really broke me a lot, because it's like, I had just talked to him a month before, and I had went off on him when I know I shouldn't have. I should have just kind of kept my mouth shut, but I'm very vocal, and I'm very like him. I have his temper, his attitude. And so when my mom had told me that, it really broke me. It's been about a good, I want to say, 4 years. It'll be 5 years this in July on the, I think it's the 7th or the 9th. I try not to really think about it, because it still gets to me a lot. Even though he wasn't there for me as a kid, he's still my dad, and I wish that he could be around to kind of see his grandchildren and be involved in our lives. I think he would have been a really good grandfather. I think he would have really been a good tata to my kids. And so it does kind of suck, and I think it hurts his family when we go up there and they see my kids, and they're just kind of like, I think sometimes I feel like they think in their head, like, you know, Ralph could be here to see his grandchildren and to be interactive with them. And I think it hurts them a lot, but we kind of grew closer to them. I mean, I didn't really know my dad's family growing up. I knew them because my dad would always take us over there every weekend to Yuma, because it was only like an hour away from where we live. But after my mom and him kind of split up, we really didn't get so close to them. But as we got older, we did. And But getting that news and getting that call, it kind of broke me. I was on my last week of before graduation from cosmetology school. So, and in cosmetology, you had to go by hours. So I literally missed a whole week's worth of hours. I had to make that up when I got back in order to graduate. And it really broke me a lot. And I had once my mom called me, I hung up the phone and I went to my teacher and I told them exactly what happened, and they told me, okay, we understand. I said I have to leave for this week. I have to go to his funeral, his wake. I have to spend time with his family. His family had his services in San Luis, Mexico, and they had his wake the day before, and it was all night. And my dad was always that kind of person. He always felt very unloved. And so at his funeral, it was just so surprising that I wish he was looking, I honestly hope that he was looking down and seeing all the love that he had for him. The room that we were in was filled with so many flowers. It was filled with so many people, like from his family, that we didn't even know that were in Mexico. And I just wish that he would have felt more loved than he thought he did. And being there, we stayed there, I want to say, until like maybe 3 in the morning. Me and my mom just got really tired. So did my brother and sister. We got really tired, so we decided to go back to the hotel and sleep. And so we went back to his funeral. I want to say it was about, they had the services like around, I think it was like 9 or 10, I want to say. And it was kind of scary to me because I never really like been to Mexico, even just to San Luis. I get really scared of it. And so when we were at the church, it was actually next to the prison, and I got really, really scared. And I told Mom, I was like, can we just like hurry up and get this going? We went to his services. They were there was a few family members, I believe, that said a few words for him. And then after we went from the church, we went to the gravesite, and they actually buried him in the same gravesite that they buried my uncle in. It was his older brother, Ramon. I can't remember what cancer it was that he passed away with, but he had passed away with cancer. I knew him, but I didn't really know him as much. But they had buried him in the same gravesite that they buried his older brother, and it was very emotional. I've always pictured my dad being there in my life when I grew up. I always pictured him, I guess, being able to walk me down the aisle when I was gonna get married. I pictured him being involved with my kids and being involved in all of our lives. So it really did take me a while to get over it. Every time his anniversary would come up or his birthday, it would hit me really hard. I wouldn't want to really be around anyone. I would be very quiet, and so that's kind of why I really don't post much about my dad, because he was, he has passed away, and I like to grieve and mourn about him in peace. I don't like to share it all over social media, even though, I mean, some people like that. I really don't. So that's kind of why I really don't ever really post about my dad. My mom, I post about her like all the time, and it's more just because I have more of an attachment to my mom than I did with my dad. My mom is kind of like my best friend. She had me at such a young age, and it was just me and her. And then until she decided to have my brother and then my other brother and sister. So I have a really close attachment to her, not like I have with my dad. So a lot of people ask me that. A lot of people ask me because like they always just see me with my mom, or people who have me on social media or see me in person. They never really see me talk about my dad or anything. And that's really the main reason why. It's not that I don't want to, it's just I choose not to. If people ask about him, I do tell them, like what happened, how he got killed, and but overall it was a very I guess traumatizing experience to deal with that. I never expected to lose my dad at such a young age. I was only 20. My dad was in his 40s, early 40s, I want to say. He was still young. He was trying to better his life for us. He was on a good path, but like in the back of mine and my older brother's head, we always had that feeling that he would go back to his old ways, and we would always hold up that guard. And when my younger brother, he was very close to my dad when he came back into our lives, So when he passed, it took him really bad. Like it hit him hard. And my younger sister too. They didn't really see all the things that my dad had done because they were so much younger. They're 4 years younger than me. So they didn't really see all the bad things that he had put us through and what we had to see and deal with. So they couldn't really understand why me and my oldest brother would always like hold that grudge and that wall against him. And I mean, I'm happy that he's no longer fighting his demons. I'm happy that he's in a peaceful place, and I know that I sometimes feel his presence sometimes, especially like when I'm having a hard time, just with in general with life or with being a mom. And I do feel his presence every now and then, and I do talk about him to like my boyfriend. Like I'll tell him, like all the crazy stories that how my dad was, how anal he was, and he just kind of laughs, and he's just like, he can't even really picture it. So I mean, I do talk about him every now and then, but I try not to because I get really choked up and it starts to make me cry, because it's like someone that it wasn't his time to go, but I guess God thought otherwise. And I mean, it is what it is. But I still think about him every single day. He still crosses my mind. I think when he passed away, we went to where he was staying at, actually, with which is his brother, which is our uncle. He had a little casita by his house, and it was my dad's place. It was like a little studio apartment. And between me, my youngest brother, and my sister, we took everything that belonged to my dad. Literally everything. We took his clothes. I think I still have his pillow in my daughter's room. We took all his shoes. We took his blankets. We took literally everything from his little room. I carried his wallet, I think, for like a year after he passed away. I think now my brother has it. He had a few crosses that he would have in his room. He had a few pictures of the Virgin Mary. We took, like, between me and my youngest brother, we wiped out everything. I think my youngest brother, Sergio, still has a cross that he keeps, I think, in his house or in his car. And my oldest brother, Junior, he actually had a cross too that he kept in his car, but from the heat, it like ripped, because it was very old and it was very fragile, so the heat kind of ripped it and it broke inside his car. So my brother was very upset about that. He didn't attend his funeral. He chose not to. He didn't think that it was right for him to attend it, so he chose not to go. And I think it was more harder for him to attend it because he was so close to my dad, and the fact that my dad kind of turned on him, I think that kind of hurt him a lot. So, but he still he kept a few things of my dad. When he graduated, one of my dad's sisters that he was really close to, she's actually a twin. Twins run in his family, and that was one thing I was scared of when I got pregnant. When he graduated from high school, my aunt actually gave him one of these necklaces, and my brother was the first one to get one. And then when I had my baby shower for my oldest daughter, Amira, my aunt had pulled me, my youngest brother Sergio, and my sister aside, and she gave us all a necklace. I have literally been wearing this necklace since she gave it to me. I think I didn't wear it when I went into labor because you can't wear metal, but I think it was like a month, like not even a month after I had my oldest daughter, I put it on and I haven't taken it off. My youngest daughter, Aria, actually broke it. I don't know if you can see that. Like, she kind of like broke this little hook right here, so I had to like super glue it together because like I did not want to like not wear it. I feel very close to my dad when I wear this because it was the way my aunt put it. She was like, it's a gift from your dad to you. And so when my youngest broke it, I was very heartbroken. I even got like a little paper clip and I put it together just until I got some glue to like glue it together. So I never want to let it go. I wear it every single day, even when I go to work. We're not allowed to wear jewelry, so when I put my shirt on, I always tuck it in my shirt. I never take it off. I think I took it off maybe one time since I've had it, and it was to take a shower because it was really like bothering me. And after that, I was like, no, like it didn't feel right. I felt like something was missing. So I hurried and put it right back on, and I haven't taken it off since. It's just something that I feel very close to, having this necklace on. I feel like he's always with me, even though we had our differences, and we didn't end things on good terms. I always feel like he's close with me when I have the necklace on. So, but yeah, that's my little story time. I really don't ever really talk about my personal life, unless I'm like really close to someone. I don't really have many friends. I have maybe one good friend that I always run to, and she's actually my neighbor. And I've known her since high school. So she's kind of like the only one that really knows everything that I've been through as a teenager. She was there with me. And so, but yeah, so I was really nervous to make this video, only because it is very personal, and it is not many people really know what I went through, I guess, as a young kid, and what I had to deal with as a teenager, not growing up with a dad, and having to kind of figure out the ropes on my own, which was like experimenting with, having boyfriends, and, just being a teenager. When I would start drinking, or when I started smoking weed, like I couldn't really run to my mom about that, I didn't have my dad there to kind of guide me, to help me through all that stuff. I mean, my mom was there, but she was more strict on me, because I was the oldest. So any little thing that I did, she would like ground me for like 10,000 years, or take my cell phone away, and I wouldn't get it back until she decided that it was ready for me to get it back. And so, yeah, so that's like the only thing I kind of like. I do kind of wish that he would have got back in our lives, especially like when me and my younger brother were in high school. Being teenagers and going through high school without having your dad there to kind of guide you through it. It does kind of suck, and it does hurt. But I do plan on getting his dates on me as a tattoo. Of course, I have to get my mother's name on me first, because she'll get very salty if I don't. My mom's very jealous. She doesn't like to share us, and I don't blame her, but he was our dad, and so I have to make sure that I get Rebecca's name on me before she throws a knip shit, and then I'll get my dad's dates on me. But I do plan on keeping his memory alive, and just kind of talking about him to my daughters. That way they kind of know who their tata is, where he's from. And I do plan on staying really close in touch with his family. I'm always talking to my aunt. She's always writing me, asking me how I'm doing and stuff. So I do plan on trying to make a trip up there to see her and see my dad's family. So, but yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this little, I guess, story time. If there's anything else that you guys would like to know about me, or anything, or want to hear any other stories, please leave comments below, or you guys can write me on social media. And yeah, and I look forward to just making these videos for you guys, and hope you guys enjoy it. And remember to hit subscribe and like all my videos so that they get worldwide. So yeah, so I'll see you guys later, and thank you for watching.